On today's program, we travel to the Bristol Bay region, southwestern Alaska.
Southeast Alaska.
It's a job. It's what we do. It's who we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Heartbeat Alaska Native News, Native Information. I'm Jeannie Green. Well, it's a great program today, just packed with excitement. We travel to Bethel, Alaska, and find out how this young woman makes traditional medicine, healing balms. We also have some great music from the blues group Indigenous. If you haven't heard of Indigenous, well, you're in for a great treat. And also on today, if that's not exciting enough, stay tuned for shooting competition, all right here on Heartbeat Alaska.
Hello, my name's Tim Howard. I'm from Juneau, Alaska, and I watch Heartbeat Alaska.
For more than 50 years, Frontier Flying Service has been your connection to rural Alaska. Frontier Flying Service, a proud sponsor of Heartbeat Alaska.
See you later, Ma.
Jason?
Yeah.
Who else is going with you?
Anna and Kyle.
And you left the phone number?
Yes.
Be back before 11.
Let your kids be who they are, but know what they're doing.
Welcome back. During the recent Native American Fish and Wildlife Conference held in Anchorage, Alaska recently, Native American law enforcement officers got together to find out who was the best gun in Indian country.
It's part of our national conference. We have a competition shoot between all the regions. The society has 7 regions throughout the country, Alaska being the 7th region. And each region holds competition amongst their conservation officers, game wardens, and they pick the top 5 shooters and they go to the national competition. And that's what we have here. We have 6 regions represented.
We call it the best of the best. And Southwest, glad to say, we won it for about 7 years in a row. And it's some of your best shooters. The professionalism comes out of your law enforcement in Indian country, and a lot of dedicated personnel that attend these and participate in these with the Native American Fish and Wildlife. This will be our 20th year. I've been with the society since it started back in the early 80s, and I've seen it grow to leaps and bounds in the last 20 years.
Again, 2 rounds in 4 seconds. 2 rounds in 4 seconds. Fire!
Each game warden conservation officer is given 180 rounds, and they shoot 3 different rounds, 60 rounds each, at a silhouette target, and they can score, out of 60 rounds, it's possible to score 300 points per round out of those 3 rounds for a total of 900 points. And in the past, we've had perfect scores of 900, and it looks like we'll probably have 1 or 2 this year.
Reload with 6 more rounds.
Normally, out of a 300 round, single round, usually we're scoring in the high 290s anyway. And so we've got some real good shooters from around the country. Some of the tribes from like the Great Plains region, we've got Mandan, Haiditsa, Rikara. We've got the different bands of Sioux here. We've got Blackfeet, and my tribe's Grovant. From the northwest, we've got the Yakimas, Colvilles, Nez Perce. Southwest, we've got Navajo. We've got different Pueblos. Southeast, we've got the Catawbas. Northeast, we've got the Narragansett, Wampanoags, the Penobscot, Passamaquoddy, and the Great Lakes. We've got a lot of the different Chippewa bands out of there.
I'm from Mesclero, New Mexico. North Dakota.
Washington. Great state of Wyoming.
The Native American Fish and Wildlife Society is composed of over 200 tribes in the lower 48 and in Alaska. Alaska is our 7th region, and they have, what we're trying to do is provide technical services to our member tribes to help them in wise use of their natural resources. We also help them on the national level through lobbying for funding to help fund their fish and game departments. And but our main thing is communication amongst the tribes. Is as tribes gain experience in handling their own natural resources, we bring them together in regional conferences and this national conference where they have an exchange of ideas. And it's tribes helping tribes a lot of times is one of our best, the best service that the society provides for its member tribes. And each year it gets more and more competitive as more tribes manage their own fish and wildlife resources. They get more conservation officers on the ground and more training that goes into it, and it just shows up in our shooting.
When I'm out there on the line, I'm the only one on the line. I don't let anybody else. I just concentrate and focus on your target. And it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication.
Fire!
Too much wind, blowing the targets over. Been like that all day.
There you go, Flowers.
I think we're gonna put another one on that one down there.
It's been an experience this year. It's a little, like every year we have a few more problems, and this set to be this one of the worst years we've had in a few. Many weather and little planning, I think, little planning problems. But shooting's going along pretty good.
Doing pretty good so far. Just hope it continues that way. If the wind don't blow us away, we'll be all right.
Take out the X system. Let's lay this one down. Oh, you can put down for raid. Yeah, that would be raised.
One thing about our, as I said, each region holds a regional conference, and then our national conference is rotated around to each of our 7 regions. And the last time the society was here was in 1995. We shot at the same range, and we conducted our national conference here in Anchorage. And so the next time we'll be back here is 2009, and if not sooner.
Hi, I'm Mark from Scan Home, and we are proud to sponsor Heartbeat Alaska.
Scan Home, serving all of Alaska's home and office furnishing needs. Thank you, Scan Home, for making Heartbeat Alaska possible.
Heartbeat Alaska is brought to you in part by Brown's Electric Lighting Gallery. Thank you, Brown's Electric, for your generous support of Heartbeat Alaska.
Heartbeat wishes to thank Hagelin Aviation Services Incorporated for making our stories possible. We travel on Hagelin Aviation, and we thank you for choosing them too. Hagelin Aviation has been serving Alaskans in the bush for over 20 years.
We fly Hagelins all the time.
Operating with 29 aircraft at 8 stations across Alaska and servicing over 100 destinations daily. Hagelin Aviation, your ticket to ride in rural Alaska.
Heartbeat Alaska is sponsored in part by Chugach Alaska Corporation.
We turn now from the shooting range, traveling to Bethel, Alaska, to a lady who is also on target, this time with her healing traditional lotions and balms. Bethel is the hub for government and commerce throughout the Yukon-Kuskokwim area. You probably knew that. What you probably didn't know is that it's also the hub for healing.
I have my angelica root.
This is Gloria Simeon. She spent most of her life in Bethel. She had researched traditional Yupik medicines, but hadn't worked with the plants themselves. That all changed when her baby niece got a rather embarrassing rash.
She was just a baby, just a little baby with tubes and tubes of ointment that her mom would bring over for me to put on her little bottom when I babysat for her. And I started reading what was in this ointment, and I'm going, this stuff has no business on a baby's body. And I remembered the jaitluk, that it had always been the native people's medicine. So I thought there must be something I can do with this. So I started going into my herbal books, and by that time I had a pretty good collection. There was just part of it right there. And checking those recipes, and came up with this.
The ointments Gloria made worked amazingly well on the baby, but even Gloria was astonished on how well they worked on her son.
And my son came home one day and told me that I should take a look at his arm, where he'd been driving his bike through Campbell Creek Park and was going too fast and went crashing into the woods and had scraped his arm really bad. There was scabs, two big scratches with scabs on them like this. And after about a week or so, he says, "Mom, look." And he showed me his arm, and one of those scabby scratches had new skin on it, and the other still had a scab. And I said, "Well, what are you showing me?" He said, "I wanted to show you, Mom, your medicine works. I've been putting your ointment on this one right here, this one that's all healed up, but not on this other one. It really works, Mom."
Gloria began giving more and more of her healing balms to friends and elders until one day
my husband took me aside and goes, "We need to find some way for this to pay for itself, because it's starting to run into a little bit of money." And I started really thinking about it, and it was time to start doing it as a business.
Even now, with some clever packaging designed by her son and a fast-growing business, Gloria still makes her ointments with the same care and attention to tradition.
At some point, as I develop my new products, they'll all have a Yupik name to go with. Because it's the traditional knowledge of the Yupik people that got me into doing this. And I want to keep as close to the tradition as possible. These I just gathered about a week and a half ago along the river. It was like a gift, because the tree that these came off of is going to be falling into the river at flood time. So I didn't have to worry about picking just every few of the buds. I was able to harvest from the entire tree and leave my little thank yous as I was done with this. These are what I make my Balm of Gilead out of. They're the buds of a cottonwood tree that are getting ready to bloom as soon as it gets warm enough. And what I do with them is I grind them up. I mix this with spruce needles to make the ointment that I call my bad cold medicine. I tell people that they should use it like Vicks to spread it on their respiratory area. They're drying out really nicely. And then I'll just grind them up and stick them in oil when they're ready to be used to make medicine. So these will be drying for about another week and a half, and they'll be ready to put up. And what we have here is, a little bit of everything that was gathered last season. This is stinging nettle, and this one, when you gather it, you have to be very careful to use gloves, because it is called stinging nettle appropriately, because it'll make your hands sting and itch. Here's some colt's foot. This grows locally. It really likes to grow around in the tundra where the salmon berries grow. And you can use this to make a cold syrup, a cough syrup. And this is my jaitluk. This is wormwood, Gananovox jaitluk. I call this my flagship medicine. It's always been known to be the medicine of the Yupik people. Stinkweed, wormwood, jaitluk, Gananovox. And I make a balm out of this that is really good for skin conditions. And people know this. The people from this area know this, and they're not afraid to use it. Then every time I go upriver, I find a different wonderful thing to smell. Never dreamed that they would grow into gallon-sized bottles. I was doing it in pint-sized jars.
The next step is to let the herbs sit in jars of olive oil and soak up sun.
This is a base of extra virgin olive oil. All the products that go into making the salves and ointments are natural, organic products. There's nothing in my salves and ointments that would hurt anybody. These are different batches of ointments that are being processed right now. This is the Balm of Gilead with the cottonwood buds and the spruce needles. This is the jaitluk, the wormwood. This right here, I just happened to be looking in my cabinet and found a jar of fireweed that I thought I was out of, so I made another batch of my fireweed and yarrow for this spring. These will sit here for about, maybe a little over a month before they're ready to process, and I will separate the plant material from the oil and melt some beeswax into it to give it the consistency that I want it to be in. This one right here is probably ready to go any day. I usually have to shake them up. Good aerobic exercise, I shake them up at least once or twice a day. These are Yupik Way products. This is a gift pack that has one of each of these ointments in there. The Balm of Gilead, the bad cold medicine. The Jaitluk Mingok, which is good for skin conditions. The Ikidok, those sudden impact kind of injuries, deep muscle aches and pains, bruises and burns. The plantain wormwood yarrow is rashes, any of those open skin kinds of conditions. This would be a good cuts and scratches ointment, sunburn, windburn. I have them in Akiak, Akichuk, Quithluk, Nabaskiak. No, not Nabaskiak, Napakiak. Scammon Bay, Kotlik, St. Mary's. Out of the region, they're available in Togiak, Dillingham, Kodiak, and Anchorage. But what I'm trying to do is get the ointments in the regional hubs. I'm looking for a distributor in some of the larger villages to make sure that it's available within the region for the people that I started making it to help.
Despite Gloria's success in business, she hasn't lost sight of why she started making the healing products in the first place.
10% of my gross annual sales is given back to the elders in some way. Because that's the only way that I know how to thank them. It's good. This is my heart happy work. And a lot of people go through life without finding it. I really believe that this came to me from the old people, from all of my grandmas and grandpas and my ancestors that knew something about the traditional ways of healing. That this isn't just mine that came to me out of reading books and watching people, that there was something there that was given to me as a gift, and the more I share it, the more something comes back to me.
Hi from Bethel, Alaska!
This is Grant Fairbanks. He's a pretty nice guy. He's lived in Bethel a long time. He owns Brown Slough Bed and Breakfast.
We have two bed and breakfasts, the north building and the south building. We have 4 rooms in each.
Whenever we visit Bethel, We stay at Brown Slough, and Grant serves us a great breakfast.
Quiet atmosphere, it's homey, it's very clean, it's safe and secure.
We'd like to thank Grant and the whole crew at Brown Slough Bed and Breakfast.
Hey, you told me to call? So can I stay for another hour or so? 11. Okay, Mom.
Let your kids be who they are, but know what they're doing.
All across Alaska, there are people working hard to make this a better place. There are people working to bring families and villages together, working to save lives, working to get you home. Grant Aviation, they'll get you home. Here in Heartbeat, Alaska, we have introduced Native American, Alaska Native, rock and roll, country western, traditional, non-traditional musicians throughout the years. And today, we'd like to introduce to you Indigenous, a blues band, and you can see them live and in color here in Anchorage, Alaska, June 8th at Kincaid Park for the 5th Annual Blues on the Green Festival. That's June 8th at Kincaid Park. All Native American blues band, very well known in the lower 48. They've been seen on CNN, Good Morning America, many other national shows. And finally, right here on Heartbeat, Alaska, here's Indigenous.
Got me running, got me hiding, got me run, hide, run anywhere you want, let it roll. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got me doing what you want, so baby, why you wanna let go? Blowing up, blowing down, blowing up, down, down, up, anywhere you wanna let it roll. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got me doing what you want, so baby, why you wanna let go? Got me peep, hide, peep anywhere you wanna let it roll. you want me to do.
Wow, what a way to leave Heartbeat, Alaska, huh? Indigenous is a fabulous Native American blues band. I hope you go and see them. That's June 8th at Kincaid Park on Blues on the Green. And we take pleasure in promoting Native American and Alaska Native musicians on our program. And we thank you for joining us so much. God bless every single one of you, and we'll see you again next week for Heartbeat, Alaska.
I basically found my dad's guitars and stuff in the basement, and I wanted to play something whenever I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. I always wanted to play something, and so I started out wanting to play drums, and my mom would set up buckets, buckets of ice cream and stuff like that, and I'd mess around with that, and I always wanted to play drums, but I never got a chance to.
Well, me and Mama D, we came in afterwards, Mateau, and Mateau was already playing guitar then, and he's already, doing stuff, practicing stuff like that, while we were just running around, having fun, And then after, she's probably maybe a couple of years or so, maybe a year, then me and Mama D got into it.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, we just sat down and just, learned songs together. Our dad would, bring songs out, and just, we were basically an instrumental band when we first started out, and we just, did a lot of the old Venture stuff and stuff like that.
A lot of
all kinds of
Santana, a lot of Santana tunes. We used to we could play any any Santana song.
Well, back to the beginning, our mom and dad would go out and play and sing with us, when we first started going out and touring.